swimming the forbidden zone. They were captured by the shrewdness of apes. But what the hell is the shrewdness of apes? And why is Taylor wearing a man frock and saying city looks like Fraggle Rock? Dennis Chambers did the info, Mr. Spot. These are just the facts we try not to mock on. The minute of the apes. 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 Yeah.
Hello and welcome to this Friday's Minute of the Apes, the podcast where we break down every damn dirty minute of the Planet of the Apes movies. I'm your host, Sean, and always joining me are my co-hosts, Richard and Todd. Guys, you got ready for this Friday?
Oh, my God. I'm itching for the weekend.
The sleepover's been nice, but let's go home.
Let's go back to
I'm
our
Loverboy.
spouses.
I'm working for the weekend right
I
now.
need to use a proper shower and bathroom and all that kind of stuff.
I don't want to say anything, but you smell a little bit ripe right now. I hate to tell you. You can't smell it. We
can't
can't.
smell.
You
It might
smell.
be this beer you've been drinking.
Well, I was about to say
It's
you.
not my favorite.
What was it again? Your tweed jacket or what was
Oh,
it?
lint from my 20-year-old tweed jacket.
That's what Sean smells like right now.
He's got a full-on Landon beard going on right now.
Yes, he does.
And I got the shaved head part of it. I'm just working on the scar now for Halloween next year. I'm just going to walk up to a house next year with half my head shaved, little scar in there, and go, candy. And see if
But you have to
anybody-
lick your lips in that real.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start minute 75, our last minute of this week, with Cornelius saying, Taylor described the Forbidden Zone. And we're going to end with Zero saying, yes, sprang.
Sprang.
Not
Okay,
dick
wait, hang
sprang,
on.
but sprang.
Do that nerd voice.
Yes, sprang.
Yes.
All right, as I'm thinking back on these last couple of weeks
Yep.
of not just this week, but the last couple of weeks of the Minute of the Apes, I'm then thinking about Star Wars and the Phantom Menace and the movies.
I'm sorry.
Yes, the movies where kids were introduced to the fun world of trade negotiations. I'm just wondering how this movie was marketed and to who it was marketed. Did they know they were going in to a thrilling courtroom procedural drama?
Okay, so
That's what
because
I want to know.
I've said this before. I saw this film. I don't know when it hit television, but I'm going to guess probably 72. It came out in 68, so we'll imagine television came around 72, 73.
Television started in 72. All right.
Shut up. So at that point, I would have been about 6 or 7, and I remember distinctly the first time I saw this was at some friends of my parents' house, and we all sat around watching it on a TV.
Mm-hmm.
I was riveted the entire time.
How did you see it? Did you see it as a sci-fi movie?
I was
were you
too little
bored
to
by the
understand.
courtroom stuff? No?
I was riveted. I mean,
You went, present your counter-argument, Dr. Zero.
well, it was so foreign when you're looking at it, especially as a little kid like that. It's so foreign to see here's a human and these are apes, and you're too young and naive to understand that these are humans wearing monkey
makeup?
masks and whatnot. I didn't lose interest in it at all. That film, I'm telling you, until 1977 when I saw Star Wars, it was the main focus. I mean, sure, I'd seen Star Trek on TV. I'd read comic books. I loved Batman, have always loved Batman, but Planet of the Apes for the longest time was just...
I had several of the Mego dolls. I mean,
Me too.
I
wish I still had them today.
So
Yeah.
when you hear Dr. Zaya say, objection overruled, you were like, yes, that's my favorite
Well,
movie.
no, but that's also like asking if you saw Star Wars and the moment said the Death Star with Tarkin and they've dissolved the Senate. You know, that's some pretty boring crap too, and we glossed over that as children.
You shut your mouth. That's boner material.
So the courtroom stuff. Were you able to follow what it all meant, or was it
no.
just kind of the?
I would doubt it, but it somehow it made this sense of people yelling at each other. They're in a strange world. I remember the sensation of watching that night. I mean, it's one of those distinct memories that I can go back and see where I was sitting in the room, what the room looked like, watching on TV, especially that final iconic shot of the film. I don't remember any of that, they're talking courtroom crap. All I knew is I loved apes. At that point, I wanted to go be a part of a world that had apes in it.
When we do the podcast that is breakdown of Minute of the Omen, and we get to the scene where the guy's head gets sliced off by the pane of glass and it goes flipping down, I cannot wait to tell you how my family sat there around the TV and watched that. We had such a good time. Wait, what movie were we talking about? Sorry.
Anyway,
So Cornelius had just kind of stood up for Taylor and said, "May it please the tribunal, I grant this being cannot have come from another planet, but this is much for certain he comes from somewhere in the Forbidden Zone. He has described the region to us and described it accurately, for I have been there."
Yes, to the
So,
Forbidden Zone. With
he sells
permission
himself
of the
out.
Cornelius has been there, and the president is upset. You visited the Forbidden Zone.
well, isn't
With
a
the
forbidden
permission
zone
of the
forbidden?
Academy.
But a forbidden zone is forbidden.
Not
it doesn't
with the
say
permission of the Academy.
It doesn't
is
say with visas from the Academy.
Forbidden Zone. You don't see the slight asterisk at the top of it that goes down to the parentheses at the bottom. Says with the permission of the Academy.
This is the
if he was
Damn
hoping,
you.
if he was
Making
hoping
you edit
to get
again.
in favor of
Right.
of the council, specifically saying, I've been there, and the president saying you've been there.
but
What did he do?
What?
That,
But Zaius immediately says everything was canceled immediately. But once again, Zaius in control. He, even from the standpoint, he's telling the president what to think, what to believe. He's telling what's going on. I didn't know this. It was a skull fracture. Oh, by the way, I revoked his permissions to go here. The man has his little curled ape claws and everything.
but why did they grant his permission and then revoke it? So what was it granted based on?
So Cornelius,
what did he do
Cornelius
to get
says,
it revoked?
Of course, yes, I did with the council's permission. And Zaius then kind of jumps in. Well, he exceeded his orders. His travel permit was canceled immediately.
So don't you have to, if you're in charge of, I don't even know what to call this, but he's running every facet of spirituality, science, he's doing everything. Don't you almost have to grant permission to people like that so that you can say, oh, but I let you go. I grant you permission. I let you do this. Oh, we had to revoke it because you broke the laws. But isn't there that if you're going
what
to
was
be
it?
the one pulling all the strings of all the puppets, don't you have to allow bits and pieces?
Yeah, I just still want to know why he was approved, what his reason was going
Maybe
out
he-
there, and the approval for it, and then what he did that they said, no, get out of there. I mean, they actually had to say it that way, get out of there. They had to go.
They got the gorilla that sounded like he was working in the shop. Get out of there.
I
It's
know
a living.
I know I asked this question and pondered this early on when we were just going minute by minute. This is the first moment that I feel like I can say with certainty that Zaius is setting up Cornelius as well.
I agree.
Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
like
What
it's-
happens a little bit later in this minute? Yeah.
when he mentions, Zira and Galen for their studies,
Right.
even though Galen's not present, it's really this moment where I'm like, he set Cornelius up, and now Cornelius is talking, and it's only going to be his undoing.
I mean, to the point where Dr. Zaius literally says,
Let them talk. Yeah.
Let them talk. And then you can tell that's him going, I've already put all the dominoes set up. I've given them the talking human that leads to the non-talking human because we've done brain surgery on him. Let them figure out what they're going to say because all they're going to do is hang themselves.
Right.
So he says, the Zaius says he exceeded his orders. His travel permit was canceled immediately. And Cornelius says, yes, sir, this is true thanks to you. So he's basically saying maybe Zaius was not the one who approved his
Right.
travel. But he then says, but not before I discovered evidence of a simian culture that existed long before the sacred scrolls were written. Whoa!
Yeah, well, what's going on with that?
Okay, so let's dial back real quick to what we've already talked about, the chances this film takes. That is incredibly, incredibly brave for 1968 to ever attack religious culture to the point that anything could happen before biblical
Yes.
Before the scriptural
scriptures.
time,
I
yeah.
couldn't get the word. Scriptures were written. The idea, okay, you're already introducing the ideas of evolution, but to say that anything came to transpire before, you're making an immediate, not just comment, but almost condemnation on the ideas that this idea of biblical scripture
Exactly.
is
It's
one
Writ-
thing.
It's
Exactly.
literally written in stone.
That hit me immediately. I watched that. I was like, holy crap, did they really do what I think they just did?
Yeah. Apes rode the dinosaurs.
So,
Oh
so
my
you
God.
don't remember,
Can we make that movie?
You don't remember your
Apes
entire-
riding dinosaurs.
You don't remember your entire family at that point going, "F this movie.
No, my dad probably went.
We didn't come from apes."
My dad probably went, hell yeah.
So why is Cornelius at this point feeling so empowered that he would want to say, I discovered evidence of a simian culture that existed long before the sacred scrolls were written? Why is he now putting his neck on the line? Is it because he has an audience and he think he can
He's
convince
been trying
him?
to get this
Or does he-
information
And you
out
think
there.
he can kind of convince him? Yeah.
Or is it also the combination that just a moment ago we saw him consoling Zero when she felt a little bit put out there? Does he
Betrayed.
love? Is this the love of his woman as well? And it's like, hey, bitches, this is happening. Is he sort of pushing the boundaries because they have indirectly attacked Cornelius in almost every way and made him not even a scapegoat. He's just sort of a little lackey in the. He's the Oswald.
punching bag.
So is this his way of throwing himself in front of Zero? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm just trying to think of it. What is it that's
Well,
propelled
it
him
might
here?
be a frustration that he's had up until this point where he's never been able to address the council with everything that he's been trying to do with his research. And now that he's got a human that is speaking that he assume is coming from the Forbidden Zone because he can't believe he came from outer space, and he went to go see his partner that's been brain surgery on, that this is enough. I've got my evidence here. You guys have been shutting me down for who knows how long. I'm going to put it all out here. I can't keep it back in.
And he's making a more logical argument when he dismisses the idea of, in the previous minute, of he didn't come from outer space. But now he's
trying to make the case that Taylor
there is an older
some type of
civilization.
link to what he wants.
He's a missing link,
missing link, yeah,
essentially.
to what he wants,
We
yeah.
aren't getting that term, but he is all
well,
but
no, he
saying.
said it in previous minutes.
Did he say missing link?
Remember, because Taylor said he was back when he couldn't talk. He was like, "I'm not your missing link." He wrote that down on the paper and all that stuff.
So I mean, he definitely is stepping up now. And I think going back to what I was trying to say about Zero is that I think that the best characters that are pushed to new areas are pushed in about 20 different ways. They're sort of beat. They're pushed. You can take the metaphor of watching Raging Bull and what happens when Jake LaMotta's in the ring and he gets jabbed 20 times, he finally fights back. And I think this is Cornelius. He's seen his woman dinged. He's seen his respect dinged. He's seen all these things, and he finally pushes back with logic. He makes possibly at this point one of the most logical assertions of, I'm saying this didn't happen. This might have happened, and this might be what he is.
There's just something foolish that he thinks that this court is actually going to listen to him.
Okay, now the foolishness of it is an entirely different argument, because what he expects, the result he expects out of it is no less foolish than when Taylor went running up at Zaius. You're not going to get anything out of it.
But it's his passion, yeah.
I would not have stuck my neck out for Taylor at this particular point.
Hell no.
No.
Especially because he's a bitch.
But we're also getting, and you have to read the script here in a second, we're getting to, again, the weird combination of science versus religion, where the council is calling things profane and saying how it's irrelevant that there are previous civilizations.
Honora says, objection, these remarks are profane and irrelevant. He's correct. They are irrelevant.
Well, no, they're not necessarily relevant if there was a previous civilization that had a higher intelligence, and they're saying that Taylor might be an offshoot of this. That's not irrelevant. And if it's profane because it's going against your beliefs, maybe your beliefs are wrong. Sorry.
But irrelevancy is often tossed out whenever it challenges anything that we don't want it to be challenged.
That's irrelevant, Todd, and you shut up.
So the president says sustained, and then tells Cornelius his archaeological theories have no bearing or on this disposition of this particular creature.
Okay.
So the president is now bringing it back. The president is now bringing it back. So I'm not sure the president really knows what was supposed to happen in this particular court, right? Whatever manipulations we think that Zaius and the prosecutor
Are working on,
or Maximus even are doing, the president is not really concerned with what Cornelius is talking about other than just finding them offensive.
Right.
Right? He's like, they have no bearing on this.
I have to say real quick, Honorius, that's how we agreed to say his name, right?
Honorius, something like that.
Proves at this point that orangutans can have blue eyes. Did we notice in the close-up real quick as he's going on and chirping here that he has blue eyes?
I did notice blue eyes, yes.
I swear to you, there are blue eyes. I don't know when colored contacts were made, but they could have showed some brown ones in there. But it was just very jarring when we've got bright eyes and we've got orangutan with blue eyes. But you get along to the end. You've got all this fighting back. Zara stammers in. And please, if there's more that you want to interject,